I thank God. I'm like, Lord, I know you have a purpose for me because there's been 3 times where I had literally thinking to myself, I shouldn't be here today. Like, I shouldn't be here today. There's been 3 times where I thought I wasn't gonna, make it. I was 8 years old. Um, at that time, I had 2 sisters. So this man, he's supposed to have been my stepdad to um, provide for my siblings, be a good husband to my mom. Um, but in that story, it led to so much horrific trauma in my life. And to say like at the age of 8, I was abused from him, sexually abused. My mom had walked into into him having me on his lap, and he was touching me in an inappropriate way. At first, I was like, "Okay, is this what is going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm just a little kid." And so my mom walks in, she's like, and then he just like puts me back in the sofa, and she asked like what's going on, and he's like nothing. And then she said, well, I felt like I just saw something, I just saw that I saw something. And he goes, no, I don't know, you must have had saw something else or whatever. And I had like no, how I say this, like I feel like it was just normal, I guess. And my mom was like, okay, well, they had a conversation that I had no idea what was going on. All I know is that she said, like, I better not see this happen again. And of course, it's going to continue from there. Um, Later on, after this, my mom had found out that he was married and had other children. Um, and they didn't know about each other yet. But when they did, they were just angry at each other, getting into fights. It was a mess. And children were involved and whatever. But my mom ended up staying with him, which I thought to myself, why would she do that? But I understand my mom didn't have a mom either. Like, she didn't have a mom. She left her, or her and my aunts and uncles left them to my dad. And that's another story. But yeah, she hardly didn't have any like motherly love. So everything was from her dad, my grandpa. And um I feel like there was a lot of lack of that, of her like trying to protect us as her children, I guess. Yeah, so that's how I felt. She didn't have that mothering love, I guess, like to teach her, like, okay, when you get older, do this and this and this, or so they had to find out their own ways and how to handle life. So I felt like my mom, that's why she let a lot of things go because of that. So, um, fast forward, yeah, she just said that. Of course, as I started to notice, it's like he would like go to the store. He would say like, "Oh, I'm going to the store to get this or get that. I'll be right back." He would take me along, and I thought that was normal because I see a lot of dads with their little ones, just like at the store, sons and daughters. So I figured, oh, it's normal. But then it started to be like where now he's been doing it constantly. And I come to a point where he had a van, a minivan. The bed in the back would go turn in the sofa, it would turn into a bed. So what he would do is go to like dark neighborhoods, put his jacket between the two front chairs, cover that, and then he would molest me there. And at first I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but I was just like thinking it's normal, I guess, and just like still. Like I didn't know what to do. I was just still, like frozen, may I say that word, frozen. And then it was to the point where, yeah, he started doing ugly things to me, and it was just horrible. And there was one time that my mom did ask me, has he touched you again? I would say no. because I already went through that, and it's like you're gonna let it go anyway. So why should I even say anything? Plus, I don't know, this man is, you know, what he would do because he was abusive towards my mom. He was really jealous, abusive. So I was kind of scared as well. And so it started getting to the point where it was going to affect my teenage years at school because I wasn't allowed to talk to boys. He would get very upset. He would get jealous. I don't know why he would go and talk to kids and ask information of what I do during my time at school in class. And they would tell him like, "Oh, she was talking to a boy. Oh, there is a boy that likes her." Um and I was just like, but it's like, isn't this part of being a teenager or something? Am I doing something wrong? Maybe I'm not supposed to? So I was really scared of talking to any boys. I was really scared. It was to the point where one time somebody told him I was talking to a boy, and I was talking to a boy, but it's normal. And I see girls do it, talking to boys, having friends, having boyfriends. And he found out, he took me to the room, he got a cord that you connect to, cords like to the TV or um and he would hit me with that because he would get really upset that they told him that I was talking to a boy or something like that. He would hit me so bad that I would feel the burn from that. I was feeling so burned. It was like very traumatic. After he hit me the first time, I couldn't do like I just like not talking to nobody. Like not talking to a boy, not talking to girls because I don't know who would tell him about my time at school. I'm like, what who does that? But yeah, it was to that point. So I was scared for my life. Um After that, I started my mom, well actually he bought a house for us. A house for my mom, house for us. In a nice neighborhood so that way I don't have to walk all the way to high school or anything like that. Um and so from there the abuse got so bad, he would actually take my mom and the kids to the park so that way the kids can play and all that. And he would give them money so that way they can have like buy popsicles or whatever. And he would say that he would have to go somewhere, but he would take me. And it was just for continuous abuse. He would actually like take me back to the house, and it was just abuse after abuse. And it was to the point where there's things that I didn't want to do, and I would get slapped for that. I would get smacked so hard, and he would tell me to shut up, and I would just cry. So yeah, it was bad. So I at age 14 I got pregnant with my daughter. um yeah, I found out that I was pregnant. It was so sad because, and I might just tear up for a little bit. It was sad because the doctor who took my test, because I couldn't keep anything down, and my mom took me to the doctor. She told me that she was really disappointed in me because I was pregnant, and that hurt me so bad. That hurt me more than I think that I don't know, it was really hard for her to say that to me. I wanted to cry right there, right then and tell her, but I was gonna be scared. I was scared because I don't want him to find out. I don't know how he would react. So um that really hurt me. And so my mom had actually asked him, "Is this your daughter? Is this your daughter? Is this your daughter?" He was like, "No, no." He told me like to make a lie saying that I got pregnant by a boy, a random person, a random guy, and that he left, and I don't know where he's at. So that was my lie to my mom, and I was like, okay, but yeah, I was pregnant. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. I was just like, I don't know. life was just throwing things at me one at a time, and I was just like, oh, I was like, and that time I knew Jesus, but I wasn't following. I wasn't walking righteously. I didn't know anything. They would take me to Catholic churches, and I was just there, So, yeah, um, that happened. Found out my mom found out I was happened that I was pregnant. After I gave birth to my daughter, I started getting really sick. Like I started like shaking, just making like these weird shakes. Um, and I noticed that it would happen like if I didn't get enough sleep. You know how babies wake you up like 10 times a night. So I wouldn't get no sleep. And maybe because of anxiety, I don't know. But I started having seizures. There were seizures. And I went to the hospital one time because I was just having nonstop seizures. And what was crazy was that they told me to get a neurologist. Went to a neurologist, got a CAT scan, got an MRI, got every test I can think about. And there was nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing they found in my head. Everything was normal. My everything was normal. And it was really weird. People were telling me that his ex or his wife, I don't know if they're still married, whatever, but that she did witchcraft and stuff. So they think that she probably did something to me, whatever. Regardless, it was so weird. But now, yes.
Did you feel
I
like possessed or that
I
something
didn't
evil was coming in you when you were
I didn't
shaking?
yeah, I didn't know if there was like evil. I didn't know how evil felt. So like I don't know, like I didn't know like what it is to be feeling like possessed or
Looking
anything.
back, do you think it was?
Now I feel like I do think that was part of it because she did tarot cards and all that stuff. And I'm yeah, I was more likely thinking that it was that. Um and so that was happening. Doctors didn't know what was happening. Um, they actually one doctor thought I was making it up, but my mom said she would see me. So, it's not something you can just make up and drop your daughter because you shake. Because I wanted to drop my daughter. I was like, no, I had dropped her twice. So then no longer I was able to hold her unless I was sitting down because when you have a seizure, you don't know when you're gonna get them. You just have it right there, right then. Um, so yeah, that was happening. Um, and short story, my mom decided to like this is enough. I don't know what's going on. Um, why she had a feeling that my daughter was his daughter, but she never did anything about it. So that's why I was so confused. Um, finally, he said that he wanted to have me in my own place, like have my own place. So I don't know. I was like, things are just coming my way. I thought that everything was normal because obviously, he's just saying this and that and this and that. I was scared for my life. There were the times where he said like there is a sewer behind a house. He had told me that, that sewer is so deep that if you were in there, nobody would ever know that you're there. And I was just like, who thinks like that? Who thinks like that? But that's why I was so scared. Like I said, there are times where he thought I was talking to a boy. He almost choked me to death because he thought that I was talking to a boy. If I wasn't gonna tell the truth, I would say no, 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 no. If he thought that I would lie, that's when he would get really physical with me. And he almost choked me one time to death. Um, I thought I wasn't gonna make it. I thank God. I'm like, Lord, I know you have a purpose for me because there's been 3 times where I have literally thought thinking to myself, "I shouldn't be here today." Like, I shouldn't be here today. There's been 3 times where I thought I wasn't gonna, make it. So, um, had my daughter. Now he bought this little tiny apartment for me, and he told my mom that I was going to go move with a boy, this random guy that I met, that I was gonna go move in with him, whatever. Later on, she found out that it was him that I was living with, or he was living. He didn't even live with me. He just used me. He would come, go to his other wife, go to my mom's, and then go to me, use me as his whatever toy that that's the life I was living in that little apartment. I was so sad because I missed my little brothers and sisters, and I would call my mom, it's like, "Hey, can I come over to see my brothers and sisters?" She was like, yeah, but after she found out that he had me in an apartment, she started thinking that I wanted that. That I wanted to be in a little apartment. And I was like, if she only knew. And I remember one time she really hurt me that day too. Um, this took it place in Chicago, by the way, all of this. Uh, it was snowing. It was really bad. It was snowing. It was cold. Um, and he actually let me go see my brothers and sisters, but I had to take the bus. You couldn't take a stroller because there is so much snow. So I had my baby covered so much with blankets and stuff like that that I had her carrying with me. I had her walk to the bus stop with my baby girl in my hands, get in there, then drop off in the bus stop by my house where my mom was living at that time. And I would knock on the door and she wouldn't let me in. She would say, she would call me names and leave and tell me to leave, even though I had my granddaughter in my arms. Sorry, that's gonna make me cry. um, yeah, that was another sad moment for me. That I don't know how how you can do that, and I I couldn't go in there, so I left crying because she turned me away. And I started walking to the bus stop again. It was starting to snow really bad. I had a lady stranger, come to the pull up next to me while I was walking. It's like, I can give you a ride because she knew I was holding the baby. It's like, I can give you a ride. Just let me know where you're going. And I was just shaking my head because it was like, I don't know you. And she's like, "Do it for your daughter, do it for your daughter." 'Cause I'm pretty sure she knew because they were pink blankets. So I had pink blankets wrapped around her. And I was like, "No, it's okay." So carried my baby all the way to the bus stop and then dropped off at the bus stop by my apartment, the little apartment that I was walked. My arms hurted so bad, and but God gave me strength, I guess, because I got home. As soon as I laid her down, my arms were just so tired and hurting because I was carrying my daughter through the storm, going to the bus station and not letting me come in and sit down and take a breather, nothing. So I had to end up going back to my apartment. Um, I started crying to my um I started crying to him, saying like, I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be here no more. And I guess at that time I didn't realize that my mom had already moved to Texas because she wanted to go away. Finally, she had the nerve to say like, that's it, I'm done. So I was crying to him. I was like, I wanted to go back home. I want to see my mom. I miss my mom. I miss my brothers and sisters. So I didn't think he was gonna let me go, but I would cry. I think I got on his nerves or something because I would cry every single day. I fell asleep crying. Um, and I think he probably just like, okay, you've been used. I already used you enough. I don't need you no more. But still, I was afraid of him. Um, he actually bought my ticket to the bus, and I was like, okay, I was ready. I was ready to go. Um, so I was in the van and we were already at the bus stop, the bus station, and I was just waiting for him just to like let me out of the door because it was not safe until he let me out. If he let me out and probably try to I already had a plan. Like if he let me out and then tries to get me back in, I was going to yell. That's I already said that because I was not gonna continue, you know. So I moved to Texas. My mom was living with my grandpa. He was an old elderly person, um, and a little apartment. I don't know how my brothers and sisters and my mom lived there, but we all lived there. So it was my grandma, his other wife, I should say, um, and my grandpa. So, and then my mom, and my brothers and sisters. And I finally said, when I got there, I was like relieved. And I told my mom about certain things, and she was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And my goodness, you don't know how hard it was to even. I was just frozen. I was like a frozen person walking just in life, like not feeling anything. I didn't feel anything. I was already numb, too numb to even feel anything. So I finally said, you know what? I I had my daughter, and I was just like, this is not fair. This is not fair. I didn't even get to live life or anything. Um, and I finally think to myself, like blaming, kind of blaming God, like, why me? Why did it have to be me? And it happened to another sibling of mine in the same family with the same man. And I would take anything for that to happen, like because I didn't find that out until we were there in Texas. And that just hurt my heart so much. And until this day I think that person is like still taking it to heart. Um because that was their biological father. At least he wasn't my biological father. He was a stepdad. Um, but that was their biological father. So I can see why they have it still not forgiven him because that's really hurtful. Um, but that made me. That's another thing in my life that was really sad that she had to go through that as well. And I think she was younger, a year younger than I was when that happened. But, I just pray that God will give her peace in her heart, you know? But so, I thought I was safe, but that man knew where we lived. He knew the apartment because he's taken my mom to go see her dad, years ago. So he knew where they lived. He knew what part of town. He knew everything. So he came back. He drove from Chicago to Texas. And he took me and he wanted to talk to me, and I was just like, what now? Like what's going on? And I was like, why why is this continuing with this man, you know? So yeah, he told me like he's not going back without me. That it was a mistake of him letting me go home, and that I'm not gonna say no because he knows where we live. He knows the little house that we live in. My grandpa is an elderly man. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Nobody's gonna help you. Um, my mom was smart though. The only thing I can thank her is that she didn't let me take my daughter with me, which, because he knew, like, okay, if he did things to you, why are you going back with him? And your daughter might go through the same thing. It was I was sad, but now that I think about it, I think that was the best thing because I don't know what he would do with my daughter. So, she's like, "You're not taking her?" I was like, he goes, "We'll come back for her." I was like, so I left with him. Yeah.
How old were you?
Um, I must have been like 16 or 17, going on 17. I must have been 17 already. So I went back and here I go again. You know, I was tired. I was so tired, just being abused mentally, physically, sexually. I was so tired, you know. Just like whatever right now I was saying like, okay. I was like, whatever happens next is it's another thing thrown my way, but it's okay. I guess it's normal, you know, living this way. Um, I was crying again that I was like, okay, I need to go back. I need to go back. I can't be living like this. I was thinking to myself, either I want to go back and cry to death. Like, I'm not going to stay in this kind of situation no more. Or if he's going to do something or he's going to hurt me to the point where I probably won't be here, I was like, so be it. So I was taking a deep chance. And yeah, sure enough, he raped me before I had left. He raped me. I found out when I went home I was pregnant. So he did that on purpose. Because he did tell me that if he can't have me, then nobody can't have me, and um, that I would have his children. I don't know what he meant by that, but um, so yeah, he did that on purpose. He knew what he was doing, and I got home. I was pregnant. I gave birth to him in 2000. I got pregnant in 1999. Got pregnant, yeah, 1999, and then had him when it was the only reason I know is because 2000, because everybody thought that the whole world was gonna end that day. Um, but yeah, I gave birth in the year 2000. So he is gonna be 25 next year in July. He's still my pride and joy. And I have my daughter right now, she's 28. And my younger son, he's 23, but he is from my marriage right now. So yeah, I can say that I have the most wonderful husband in the world. And I felt like that's what brought me peace too. Ever since I gave my life to the Lord, all that anger, all that hatred that I had towards this man, I found out that I am gonna forgive, because at the end of the day, only God knows, and God knows what happened, that He will take care of. He'll take care of it. That is already out of my hands. It's out of my life. I don't have to deal with it no more. I found peace, joy, love, everything that I didn't have, uh, I'm not numb no more. I'm actually living. And that to me, I cry because I'm so happy. I'm like, God said um, to forgive, and I forgive him. And I just pray that if he doesn't know Jesus, that he will get to know him, because it's very scary if he doesn't repent of his sins. I just pray that he's not out there doing anything to no more children. Um, I tried pressing charges against him years later, but then when I had married my husband, they said that they the detectives were saying, well, we would have to go where it took place, and we would also anybody else who's involved in this whole situation and that knew that you were a minor, and that knew that he was probably doing something to you, we will need all those people on stand, or there is going to be a lot of people also in trouble, and that's including my mom and that other women who knew about it too. So it was going to be a lot of hurt for sure. And I tried to I'm like, okay, so do I do that, or do I just leave it as is and just you know forget about it, so, yeah, I forgot about it, and plus it was gonna be too much money to be traveling back and forth to Chicago to Virginia to Chicago to Virginia. It was gonna be a mess. And then the whole situation was gonna be a mess too, and I didn't want my mom to get in trouble. I mean, she already went through so much too. So yeah, I for those who have gone through so much in this kind of situation, in any way, if you were a kid or even as an adult, if you got through any kind of abuse, and you don't know Jesus, I say please find a Christian church that you can go to, um and hear. about who Jesus is, so that way if you don't know him, that you will get to accept him as your Lord Christ and Savior, and he will give you rest, rest in your heart, rest in your mind, rest in your body, that you won't feel that numb like I did, um, and that you're not alone. There's there's millions and millions of kids going through, even kids that have not been found or has not even told about it. So that's including more. And you're not alone. You're not alone. I was like, there's a lot of people that have gone through it, and they probably still are going through it. So just you know, pray about it as well. That He will give you peace. Um, in your heart, that you don't have to be scared no more. You don't have to be living in the past no more. I learned that, to not be living in the past, because that just brings um more sadness. And you don't want to feel sad, you know? You want to live happy, you want to walk forward. Yeah, so you just can breathe, but you have to find Jesus first. You know, he will give you that he will how do I say this? He will free you from being in that prison. I call it a prison for me. I called it a prison. He'll free you from that. He'll free you from those chains that have been holding you. And that's how I found out that oh man, I was like, he is real. Yes.
How did you find Jesus?
So when we moved here to California, we moved here from Virginia. Two of our good friends, they were coming to that church. They were going to ECC, it's going to be the Christian church. And we were looking for a church. And they told me, well, you should come over here. You know, we go to this church, and it's really nice. I've been to some churches. I wasn't perfect, but you know, I knew Jesus, but I wasn't walking righteously. And I always thought like, "Oh, go to church, you're good," you know? But that's not true. It's like you have to continue be going to church and read the word and get involved and surrendering yourself to Jesus and getting baptized with the Holy Spirit. But yes, I went to UCC. I was hearing everything the pastor was saying. Pastor Joel, he's amazing. Um, he was preaching, and the fact that I was listening to him, and he was like, read a verse, but break it down to you. Like, he wouldn't just read a verse and say, okay, let's go to the next, you know. He would break it down to you. And that's when I started paying attention more and more. I was like, oh, so this is why, and this is why. I was like, makes sense now. So one day they were asking for people, like, if you need prayer, to come to the front. And I went up to the front, I got prayed for, and I felt this whole, like, I let out my tears that I was holding back. I didn't know I had that much tears. Those tears came bawling down. I mean, I was crying, and I felt like a big old, I don't know, like something just fell out of my chest. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness." I said, I feel lighter. I feel lighter." I wasn't fully, you know, done with it, but I felt lighter. And I let all those tears come down, like just coming down. And so then after that day, I was just like, "Oh my goodness." I was like, that was an amazing, like, that sermon for that day was amazing. The prayer was amazing. The worship was amazing. And I just wanted to continue going. And then there was this day, and I can't remember, but they were asking, like, if you haven't received Jesus as your Lord Christ and Savior, raise your hand. So I did that, and once again, like, that little heaviness that I felt, because I was prayed for, the little bit heaviness that I felt, it was gone. Like, totally gone. Like, I was relieved. Like, I didn't feel no more shame. Like, shame, like, oh my goodness, like, I feel like people were judging me, because they said like, "Oh, well, you had your baby so young." I was like, "Well, you must have been messing around with somebody, with something." I was like, "That's not true." The people didn't understand, so I felt like people were judging me. I was feeling shameful. Um, but that just washed away. I was like, "No more, no more shame, no more fear, uh, no more sadness." There are times, well, the enemy will try to remind me, like, "Okay, remember this, remember that," and I'm like, "No," I said, "Behind me, Satan, behind me, Satan. You have no control of me." So, now I'm happy to say that I'm saved. I accepted Jesus as my Lord, Christ, and Savior. I'm set free. And every time, like I said, if the enemy tries to remind me, I remind myself of Jeremiah 54 verse 17, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So I love that verse because Mm, he I put that into my life all the time. It's like, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." I've been through that so much, I was like, "Nope." I keep reminding myself, I put on the whole armor of God. I pray every day, I thank God for everything. I felt like I felt at the same time like, okay, he's giving maybe not that this is from him, that this happened to me, but he's using me, um to give hope to others and talking to them about how he gave me that peace, that new life that I have right now. Because I have a new life now that I have, and I couldn't be any more happier. It's it's so like that tangible love that he has for us is amazing. I feel his love like no other. I mean, his love is so powerful. I just thank him every day for loving me. Even on my lowest days, because we all fall short, I still continue to thank him for loving me because he does love me so much. And if I would have known that before, I wouldn't been like in that situation where I felt hate, scared, being hated, being scared, being tormented by this man. I think I would have still have peace, but now I just feel like everything is just more clearly of what God has planned for me, even in my future. So I'm so happy that I get to share my testimony for those who are going through something alike or something that a loved one went through. Um, that there is hope if you choose to seek Jesus and accept Him as your Lord Christ and Savior. Like I said, you can find try to look for a Christian church and see, you don't have to stay in that specific first one. Wherever you feel that's comfortable, that, you find a church um, that's good for you. I suggest you go and seek Jesus. Seek Jesus because He is the answer to everything. When you think people can't hear you, He hears you every single day. So for that, I'm so grateful that my life has changed because of him. And I am so joyful. I'm so happy. I've been married for 24 years. 24 years. So, yeah, and I mean, not all marriages are, you know, are 100% happiness, but we work through it just like every other marriage, and we are still so happy and happily in love, and um, so happy that we get to cherish two grandsons and one granddaughter, and it's. I feel like now it's just the way it's supposed to be. And I just thank God for every day for never giving up on me. So that's my testimony.